Good evening, everybody. I'd like to call this meeting to order, and if you would, please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. So this is the one meeting that I start instead of the chair, because this is the meeting where you elect a chair and a vice chair. So item 3.0 is nomination of board chair. And according to policy BDB, the board shall elect it from its membership, a chair and a vice chair. And so at this time, I would invite board members to nominate a chairperson.
I nominate Lou Enzo for board chair.
Second.
Any other nominations? Okay, hearing none. All those in favor of Lou Enzo as chair? Unanimous.
Thank you.
Congrats, Lou, and I'll turn the meeting over to you.
Okay. Like, here, take it. Thank you. I really appreciate it. Means a lot. So 4.0, nomination and election of vice chair. Do I have a nomination for vice chair?
I nominate Jamie Dorr as vice chair.
Great. And second from Patty. Great. Any other nominations? All right. All in favor of Jamie?
Thank you.
Yep. And we are good for another year. Thank you all. All right. So I just want to say thank you for that. Thanks for your confidence in us. It's much appreciated. Really enjoy being on the board and working with all of you. It certainly means a lot to me. I don't know if you want to say anything. You're all good? Okay. So thanks so much. We can get right to the minutes. If anyone has any questions on the minutes from November, because remember, we didn't meet in December. So that's why you're thinking it's been a while, because it has. So if anyone has any questions, or are we good? Go for it, Megan.
I move to approve the minutes.
I know you went to. All right. Can I have a second on the minutes? Yes, Patty. Thank you. All in favor then? All right. So the minutes are done. Adjustments to the agenda. As much as I know that Mary Moran would love to stay here the entire meeting, I think we should move her up to make her 9.2 as part of the staff report after Leslie Trundy. So if we're good with that, we're going to move Mary so she can get home to dinner or whatever else she wants to do. And I think that's the only change, right? Everything else is straightforward. All right. 8.0 is public session, in case anyone's here from the public who wishes to speak. I'm not seeing anyone. Oh, yeah, come on up. Just let us.
This to come at the end of the meeting.
Yeah, let us know your name and where you're from.
Absolutely, yes. My name is Adair Delamata, and I live here in Bath on East Milan Street. I came tonight because I wanted to find out what the policy is of this school district in terms of letting ICE agents on school property and letting them into buildings. I'm very concerned about it because this is happening with greater frequency in other states. And I think it's only a matter of time until it happens here.
Mhm.
And I have a copy of the Portland position that they have put out. And I also have a copy of the one from Brunswick. And I was wondering if one has been established for RSU1. And if so, if I could have a copy of it, or if I might make some suggestions or.
Sure. No, I knew this was going to happen. Yeah, go ahead, Patrick.
We have something that is probably going out this evening to our families and to our staff. And it'll be very similar to a neighboring district because we received the same advice from our attorneys that have researched this. So I can send you a copy. I think I have your email from Sustainability Committee on Morris High School, so I can send it to you as well.
Long way back, you got a good memory.
Yeah, we'll put it on our website as well so that the public can see it. But I can send you a copy as well. If it doesn't go out this evening, it's going out first thing in the morning.
Okay, I would
Okay.
appreciate that.
Sure.
I'm hoping that we will copy what Portland has done, and I'll just briefly tell you why.
Sure.
They are not allowing ICE agents into this is my understanding, I have a copy of it, into any of their buildings unless they have a court order. Now, my understanding is what Brunswick is saying is that they will let the ICE agents in to a stop point, and then they have to identify themselves. Just psychologically, I think, like once they're in the building, that it increases their power. And I know we have children in this school district who could be removed. And I just want them to be safe and cared for by all of us. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you so much for being here. Appreciate that very much. So that's going out tonight.
Yeah. I mean, it's either this evening or first thing in the morning.
Okay.
And
So we'll see that.
yes.
Okay. Any other questions on that right now? Because that'll come out and then certainly we can discuss if we need to next meeting, since this is all very new. Okay. Staff reports, I'm going to hand it over to you.
Pleased to have Leslie Trundy here tonight and to talk about the outing club. I mean, we try to give you a variety and the public a variety of different things, different levels, from academic to extra and co-curricular. So thank you for being here. And I think you said Charlie might chime in a little bit too and give his piece on it. But thanks for being here. I appreciate it.
Yeah, you're welcome. Thank you so much. I've prepared just a few slides to give you a little bit about the history of the outing club at Morse High School. Which I think they're going to put up in just a moment. But I'll just start by saying that this is my 20th year working as a school counselor. All 20 of those years primarily have been here at Morse High School. And it was my 10-year goal to establish an outing club. So it took me a few extra years, but I'm really happy to report in our 4th year, things are really going quite well. And I'll tell you a little bit about that. So we established the club in the fall of 2021. You can see the small group of students on the left that came with me on the first outdoor leadership conference. Really, Owen Hill is the primary person that said, yes, I'm going to help you get this going. And this photo was just taken for the yearbook, and you can see that our club has grown. This is just a small representation of the students that are part of the club. So things are going great, and we can flip it to the next slide. We started out with a $1,000 grant from the Teens to Trails organization, also through the WAVES grant that the state of Maine had. At the time, they were really looking for ways to get students connected, and outdoors, of course, was safest with COVID and everything like that. So in 2022, I attended a leadership training that was held actually to hike Katahdin. And although I'm an Appalachian Trail through hiker, I hiked in 1996. I'd never hiked the Knife's Edge, so that was a really memorable trip and great to connect with some other outdoor club leaders. We also received a grant, a $600 grant, which we've actually received each year. So we've used that grant to offset the cost for any trips so that it's an inclusive trip, so any student is able to take part in it. I earned my educational trip leader training permit in 2023, which allows me to take up to 12 students into places where there's not potable water, and I can do that safely. I also have the wilderness first aid training as part of the ETL permit. And we also elected class officers that year, club officers, and but I think one of the things that I'm really excited about with Outing Club is that I established this year an optional detention hike. So what that is students who receive a behavior consequence in school during the day, if they have to serve a 3-hour detention after school, rather than being 3 hours in school indoors, I offer them a 2-hour hike. And you'll see in a minute how that's increased the number of outings that our club is taking. I've had kids who are members of the club and not having detention come on the hikes, and we've just had a great time. We've also started volunteering more this year. I'm ready. So you can see the number of outings each year that we've taken. In that first year, we really didn't have very many outings at all. So I've just included the last 3 years. But you can see that with the detention hikes added in, we're up to 21 outings already this school year, just in the first semester. And there's 62 different students that have participated, but some students will come on all the trips or, the different things that we do. So really feel like we're making a greater impact as a club. You can move it to the next one. We're really a club for all seasons. Last year we did a wintertime hike in March. We stayed at the Meadow Whistler Lodge, which is owned by the Appalachian Mountain Club in the 100-mile wilderness. And you can see we stayed at Flagstaff Lake and we're canoeing in the really summertime. That was graduation weekend a few years ago. And some fall camping and fires that we did. So lots of different things, lots that we do all season long. You can move it to the next one. And then I just wanted to speak briefly about why do I want to do this outing club here at Morse High School and what's the benefit to students? And I just wanted to share, you can read any book about bringing youth in the outdoors, any age, and you'll see that it's proven to reduce anxiety. It improves mood. I think if you think about yourself, if you've had a rough day and you go outside and you feel that fresh air, it's going to improve your mood. I love the connections that happen on the trips that we take. Sometimes students know each other on the trip and they just deepen the connection they already have. But sometimes students go and they don't know who's going to be there, but they end up really making a great connection that happens beyond the trip that we take. Really connecting students to something that isn't competitive or academic, and contributes to better sleep when you spend time outdoors. And that's my why. What's coming up? We're taking a trip this week, ice skating down in Falmouth. They offer, they can teach you how to ice skate, but just so happens everyone who's going with me have skates and they know how to ice skate. We're going to go tobogganing at the Camden Snow Bowl. We have a planned trip to go back to Meadow Whistler on March 13th. We are planning an outdoor Morse code day for juniors. We're going to beta test it with the hopes to bring it to the entire school student body next fall. And we are planning to take part for the first time ever in the adventure-bound rafting and camping trip up in the Forks with Teens to Trails. Just wanted to quickly say some testimonials from students. The trips I've been on have been incredible for my mental and physical well-being. I've really connected with new people on levels that I have never before in a school activity and had so much fun. I've also just had a student recently go on the detention hike and we were gone for a full 2 hours. We came back, they said, "Thanks so much, that was awesome." And I have one last slide. I just wanted to thank our sponsors. We could not do this without the RSU1 vans. I love those vans and we've gone all over. Teens to Trails has been a huge sponsor. Maine Hudson Trails, LL Bean. We have a Maine Gear Share membership, which is also really incredible. I can borrow gear, whether it's a sleeping bag or a warm coat or cross-country skis, so that really these trips are accessible for students. Thank you for your time. And any questions?
That's awesome. Yeah, questions, anybody? Comments? Go ahead, Jen.
Would it be of any interest, do you think, to any of your students if they wanted to get not the woofer, but the woofa, which is a much lower bar for wilderness first aid? It's something that can usually be done, I think, within 2 or 3 trainings.
Yeah, there's actually been a promotion through the University of Maine that students can earn that over the summer, and Teens to Trails has promoted it. I haven't had a student that's been able to do the timing of it, but I've definitely promoted that, and I think that I do have some students that would be interested.
I wonder if Chewonki would help. That's where I got my WUFA training, and it was really quick there, and there's so many trainers and certified people over there. I wonder if there any of there could maybe fit in more during a school year kind of program.
Yeah.
Because that would be really nice. And the other question was, have you worked at all with trekkers?
No, I have. I know about trekkers because I was a mentor with the Waypoint Chewonki cohort, which is now with Midcoast Youth. I was part of that first cohort, so I know about trekkers and the philosophy behind it. but I haven't worked with them, no.
They've just received a ton of money. So I don't know if that all goes to one things, but wherever there's lots of grant funding, I usually go, is there anything there we can
What's
have?
happening there? Yeah. I'm pretty
So-
sure that it's localized to that area, but I'll definitely
Yeah.
check it out.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank
Thank you. Yeah,
Did you say you hiked the entire Appalachian Trail?
I did.
Wow, that's
Yeah.
impressive. When you do the detention hikes, where do you load them in a bus and go somewhere? And where do you find a 2-hour hike?
Yeah, I really like to leave right from here and end up right back here. So we are a little bit on the road, but then we are on the Whiskeg Trail, and sometimes we loop around different ways. And my favorite one probably was the first snowfall because no one had any gear, but I had ponchos and it really wasn't that cold. So I was like, we're definitely going. We got to the trailhead and the students like, we're really going? Like, we're going to go on the trail? And I'm like, we're really going. We had some slipping and sliding, but it was so memorable, so much fun, lots of laughter. And again, they didn't spend 3 hours after school indoors, and I think it was better for them. So, yeah. Yeah, Jamie.
I'm so excited to hear about the detention part. It's really great. Do you find that you have needs that you can't meet, or is there any way that we could better support the work that you're doing?
Yeah, thank you so much. I think that the biggest thing really is the continued support with the vans. And there are sometimes small costs associated depending on what we have planned. I was going to ask the Alumni Association to help purchase the main gear share. The Boosters Club let us do a Snack Shack takeover, and we used the money to purchase our park pass for this year. So we're sort of being strategic about that, but I'll definitely keep it in mind and let you know if there is something. Thanks.
Yeah, Charlie.
Well, first off, I am a member of this club, and I absolutely would recommend it to any student, and I sing its graces. I had a question for you originally, but it kind of pertains to the group. Would students be allowed to drive themselves or take a group of students if transportation wasn't really available? Because personally, I drive a van that seats a lot of people, and if like the RSU1 vans weren't available, then that could be an option.
Yeah, thank you for asking. I do think that they don't love it to have students drive. So I think since I can take folks, I would just keep it at that. But we can always maybe get a second chaperone if we had a huge trip and we needed to. Yeah, that's a great question though. And actually, since I know Charlie and Aurora represent the whole district, I also wanted to share that we had a Welcome to Winter trip that we took this past December. And one of the new Mainers, I was picking her up and she said, can my little brother come too? And so that was wonderful for me because at the end of the event, the people from Winter Kids were giving away sleds and helmets, and this little boy was walking away with the sled bigger than he was. And I was carrying it for him, and he looked up and he said, are you going to be at the high school when I get there? So I'm looking forward to welcoming the future little ones to join the club. So thank you again. Have a great night.
Thank you very much. That's awesome. Thank you.
Next, we have Mary Moran, who's our facilitator for our district leadership design team, and she's going to give you kind of an overview. We do this twice a year, kind of an accountability measure about our progress around the 4 goal areas that we have as a district. So Mary, thanks for being here.
Yeah, much less exciting than Leslie's. But no, to kind of give you a little bit of an update where we are as a team, I feel like we're kind of flowing in a good way, and the feedback from the team's been positive as far as everything from the frequency of our meetings to how they're organized and how people are participating and all that kind of thing. It's also, I feel like this is accurate, but this is my opinion. I feel like it's making staff realize we do have a voice, where I feel like there's only been pockets over the years that felt that. So I think that's a good thing. And as a team too, our next step is how do we start to transition out and get new people in? So it's not the same voice, the same faces all the time. So that's our next step. And the exciting-ish part as a team, we couldn't figure out how to measure both our progress, but also the education plan progress. And we ended up doing it, and Patrick, please speak to this if I miss parts. We created basically a survey. And so within your building, so I'm at Woolwich, I'd meet with myself, Tracy Smart's on the team, and then Jason. And we just kind of go through the education plan and get a sense of where are we as a school. And then we brought it back to the team and just kind of did some comparisons and understanding, are we seeing it the same and are the needs the same? So that first initial approach to that seemed to work. So it's just nice because it's a hard thing to measure, but we have a way of getting feedback to each other to move forward, which leads me to the update that you all have, I believe. I'm just going to literally go through some of it, and then if you have questions, happy to answer them. So for goal 1, to ensure that there are highly qualified educators and administrators in each building. First, we need more people who are interested to fill out those positions, but I feel like that's been fairly tight for a long time now, so it wasn't a massive shift in what we needed to do. But as far as keeping people here, I feel like we've done a great job as a district with grade level and department days of making them more meaningful and purposeful to the work we're doing. And again, getting more staff voice, which is always a good thing. Also, various schools. I can speak for elementary, for example. We're working on executive functioning in the various schools and how we're addressing it with student needs. And some schools are in different places with that need. And so the district admin has been open to differentiating that PD, and that's been very, very much appreciated. And then evaluations and feedback are always a work in progress. But that's been, I know, something that the administrative team's really been working towards. And one of the areas that we're still trying to figure out what's the best way to, is the best way to really connect the elementary to the middle school to the high school, because that can be a bone of contention for some of the teachers who are in those transition years. Is, for example, I might know my 5th graders so well because I get them in one room. They're going to go off to the 6th grade where they have various teachers. How can I best support those students so those teachers don't need a trimester to figure out the kid? And I know it's more tricky at Fisher Mitchell and Phippsburg with Bath Middle School. So some of those kind of things we're trying to connect as far as making everyone feel like we are doing our best to support kids. And then on goal 2, to develop meaningful and engaging curriculum and sound instructional practices. I think one of our biggest celebrations was the new instructional website, kind of a housing unit for all the work that we've been doing with curriculum mapping and the like. It's also been interesting things where I believe Morse is working on differentiation. And at first it sounded hilarious to a K-5 teacher because that's all we do. But just to kind of see where we can be supportive of each other and understand things is a good thing. So the curriculum mapping is going to be a work in progress for a while, but I can speak to the elementary. It's what we've gotten done in the last few years has offered a lot more clarity. And I know it's a work in progress still for the middle school. Common data, which kind of connects to our RTI process. Again, there, K-5 is pretty solid because we have been working on it for a very long time. I know middle school is piloting it, second version, and it definitely takes a couple years to really figure out, do we have the resources we want when we determine needs? And are we doing our best with data sets to make sure kids aren't slipping through the cracks? So we've expanded RTI where it's not just academic, but it's behavioral and how those go together. So that is currently in place and being worked on. And the area that we're still, again, working on that is some of the staffing needs in the middle school and high school for interventionists. I think we could always use more resources, but we want the resources to be meaningful. And I think we figured out where that fits for K-5. We're not necessarily meeting all the needs, but to the best of our ability so far. But 6-12 is not yet. So that's what they're working on. And then I'm going to continue to goal 3, to provide safe, respectful, and positive learning environments. And I have to say to Adair, I love when community members show up with their concerns in ways that you wouldn't think would connect. So it's always nice to have that community connection. I feel like the district's done a lot with this in the last 2 years. And I say this on behalf of the committee, everything from our DEI committee work, diversity, equity, and inclusion. And that's going to be a work in progress forever, with the world we live in, and it's always going to be changing. But all the DEI training we did have was kind of that baseline. And I think what's come out in our design team meetings is what's next. Like, we're ready to kind of put it into practice and not just let it go away because it's not on the radar necessarily in all of the buildings and all the classrooms. The ALICE training, that was definitely kind of a scary part for the elementary. And I know the middle school and high school had already gone through it. But I feel like it's kind of smoothing out to where I can say I think teachers feel more empowered to how we're going to best support kids if we ever need to in protective situations. So I think that will also be ongoing conversation because we all need it. Then the social emotional learning, which we all know is huge, that would kind of go back to what I mentioned with RTI and some of the behavior screeners we're doing, because it really does pip kids out in ways of, you know, you might have a quiet student and you don't quite realize what they might need, but you have that teacher or two who really gets to know them. And that quietness might come to light in a committee to figure out how do we best use our resources to help support that student, which is also where the middle school and high school would be great when a screener kind of pops in for them as well. And on that note, we are working for K-5 with a regulated classroom, which is actually been great through the state of Maine. There's been free trainings and materials offered to all teachers anywhere within the state. But I'll be curious, and I think this might come up at our next team meeting, is where might that fit middle school and high school too? Because, you know, all kids get dysregulated and all kids go through trauma, whether it's that moment in time or long term. So that's good work. And I think for some of us, honestly, that have been doing it for a while, you take for granted your experiences and what you know and what we all need to be on the same page with, if that makes sense. So that is currently in place. And then we've talked a lot as a team for vertical groups. And if you'll note on the bottom there, it talks about the social workers and guidance counselors meeting more regularly to kind of go through and identify the needs as a whole district, which is something we want to actually then kind of transition to academics, but that social emotional is a big one. And then the things we're still working on to figure out how best to do it is the ACEs training. We've had it in pockets, but there's been, you know, as time goes by, need the training. And we talked a lot about on that same note that ed techs are tending to work with so many different students that we need to focus more on the trainings that they all need, not just the one or two who are assigned to a student. And then goal 4, to collaboratively improve community relations. The biweekly newsletter we have, and I will say on a personal note, it's nice that it's more frequent and it's not always every single school represented, because it was starting to feel every now and again like it was a competition of who has the coolest things going on. So it's nice to get those updates popped up. So that was a good change. School newsletters, as you guys know, is in place. I personally have heard just randomly in different committees or different people facilitating meetings within the town, a lot of accolades for our website and the reformatting and how much content's there, which was nice to hear. And then on that one, the things to consider, we talked about how during COVID, we lost some community connections and how everything from getting more volunteers in the school, whether it's in a writing class, reading class, or an outing club kind of thing. How do we bring more people in to the events that we do have? Because it's definitely increasing the events we have. I think we have decent turnout, but it just feels like it'd be nice to have it stronger. So one of the things that was considered is surveying graduates while they were here, what was working, what wasn't. And a lot of them are community members. So in that respect, might pull them back in. And then still figuring out the work in progress is how are we best really tapping into all of the resources and organizations. I know there's a lot of grants going on. There's a lot of collaboration already, but where could it be improved or should it be improved? And that is the gist of the update. Any questions?
That's really a great update. Thank you very much. Questions from the board? It was really thorough. Kurt?
Hey, Mary. Thanks for that presentation. Can you just real quickly, what does the regulated classroom mean?
So it's the gist of it is you say like give a student and in recognizing that, well, one is everything from establishing a trusted environment, a safe environment, getting to know the kids, but it's also just being proactive to where you might have a student who, it could be anything from they did poorly on a test, or they didn't have breakfast that day, or their mom and dad are fighting, or who knows what it is, but coming into school and getting a sense of where they are and the fight or flight idea and kind of giving them tools so that it doesn't have to be one of those things, that we work through problems together, and that it is, like I said, it is a safe place where we can have those conversations and kids have someone to go to, so it doesn't become a behavior issues where then they end up with detention or suspensions or those kind of things. And it for me, the big shift was, because a lot of it's best practice, honestly, what teachers, I think if we're doing a good job, we do anyway. It's It doesn't have to be considered a student who like their ACEs score is high or their life has been trauma. It could be one moment of their life that particular day and that we're really seeing all of the kids. Does that answer that? Yeah. Yep.
Did you have anybody else? Thank you so much. That
Thanks a
was
lot.
really great. Appreciate it. Okay, where are we at here? 10.0 Finance Committee, update on, yeah, if you could.
So we had a finance committee beginning of January, and Hank Farah came to our meeting and gave us a financial overview of the year ending 2024. So I think we sent that to all of you. So if you have questions, let us know. And then Deb went over the federal grants at that meeting, talked about what we spent, what we had left, which wasn't much of federal money, and then what we have now for federal grants. And then lastly, we just reviewed the budget schedule that I think all of you have a copy of. And so that was kind of the synopsis of the meeting. I don't know if you have questions for me or for Deb.
No? Okay. Thank you. Student board report. Aurora, Charlie?
So starting off with sports, teams are getting ready for regional and conference championships with the boys swim team and girls and boys indoor track teams with solid chances of winning conferences. Notable individual performances include Shaylin Brochu qualifying for New Balance Nationals in the mile, and the boys swim 200 free relay team breaking a 26-year-old state record by students Gaffney McDonough, Brady Chubbuck, Sawyer Wright, and David Mitchell. One class that did something exciting and notable is the poetry class taught by Craig Tinker. Morse Poetry was involved in a public competition at Mockingbird Bookstore with 7 student participants and winner Lyra Riccadoni, who's a freshman coming from our poetry class. It was their 3rd year participating. They received funds from attendance as well as Mockingbird Bookstore to print a book of student-written poems from the class from the year.
So in other news, prep for the spring play is fully underway. We have our actors at rehearsal almost every day after school. And then this Saturday, stage crew spent 6 hours at the school working on building the set from the ground up. Very impressive, and I can testify it's very beautiful so far. SCLC hosted an event to honor Martin Luther King Day during lunch, where I believe they showed his I Have a Dream speech. And then finally, I think it's worth mentioning that our school just finished up its week of midterms. I think all the students gave a sigh of relief, and yeah, we're all very happy that's over.
Great. Any questions for our students? Yes, I know you're all relieved that midterms are over. Thank you for the report. Let's see, we're at, and then we're moving on to superintendent's report.
I'm just going to mention a couple things because we have a quick video to show you as a group. But if you drove by the BMS at the beginning of January, you would have seen the main mobile science lab.
I saw that.
I was able to go in there one day and do some things with some students, and it's pretty impressive. I mean, inside that they have their flat screen TVs, they have their tables that'll fold down. So groups of 4 in 6th, 7th, and 8th grade, all doing science projects. I happen to be in on the one on water pollution, and the students were very engaged, excited, and I'd like to thank Monica Wright for bringing that here because it is a kind of an application process. We've been trying to get it here for a while now, but it was very impressive, and I'd like to thank that organization for choosing RSU1. The next thing I'll just mention is Bath Tech. We've had a lot of 8th graders circulating through our programs. They come and they usually get exposed to 3 different programs, get to make do some neat projects when they're here to kind of get them interested, excited about CTE education. And then in the next month, our recruiting roadshow will go out to the visiting schools, to the high schools to again recruit. But our numbers are high here. Our numbers are close to 300 in CTE, and we only have a few programs that we have available slots every year. So it's good, it's healthy. So the next thing I'm going to do is we're going to show you a quick, I think it's a 3-minute video. And I think most of you remember, I put this in an email to you, that Maine Levis Public Schools is something that Maine School Boards Association and Maine School Management put together, and the organization picks so many schools to feature. And we tried to make this work with 2 or 3 of our schools, but it really had to come down to 1 school because people are coming here to film us. So we chose our biggest, we chose Morris High School, Bath Tech. And so this is something that is going to be shared across the state. And I think you'll see that Morris High School and Bath Tech is very well represented in this brief video. So.
When you walk into a public school, you can go into a classroom and you'll see kids playing with new kinds of robotics. You will see kids learning how to design on computers oftentimes. You will see them in outdoor spaces where they're learning about nature. And you'll see students being prepared for both college and for careers as well.
Public education is very important. It's the building blocks of our society, really. You know, everything that we do, it starts in public education.
We need public school because we're creating our future generation.
The mission of Maine Loves Public Schools is to document and curate and share all of the amazing work happening within our public school classrooms every single day. In recent years, we have seen some politically charged attacks that are untrue. They call our public schools radical, they use the term bureaucratic, and we just know that's not true. About 2 years ago, nearly every educational advocacy group from all across the state, this was superintendents, school board members, principals, we all came together because we wanted to show what was good and positive happening within our schools.
If more people were able to come into our schools and see all the incredible things that are going on, there'd be more of, yes, we need support for public schools because there's a lot of cool things going on in public schools.
I love teaching in public schools. I've had the opportunity to teach in private, but I think getting to see such diverse kids and getting to meet them where they're at and helping them grow really is the thing that gets me coming in every day.
You know, for a lot of kids, this is the safe space. This is the predictable routine. This is a place where, you know, they might be surrounded by books and just, you know, some kiddos don't have that at home.
Every day it's all about what can we do that's best for the children.
We don't close our doors to anyone. Everyone is welcome, and they should be.
Already with our Maine Loves Public Schools campaign, we have created a huge amount of connection between educators and community members in schools all across our state. More than 100 educators and community members are what we call storytelling ambassadors. They are sharing stories from their districts. They are celebrating the great stuff that is happening within their schools. And we see how that is already positively impacting their schools. When we promote that trust and goodwill in our schools, it truly does bring us all together as educators and parents and students and teachers. It connects us and it makes us proud.
And that's why Maine loves public schools.
And that's why Maine loves public schools. That's why Maine loves public schools. That's why Maine loves public schools.
Nicely done. That's good. Wow.
Hopefully they'll remember that when the budget comes around.
Yeah.
55%.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
Yeah, it will be. They're starting to share it this week, so we'll make sure we put it on our website, and they're going to do a lot to get it out. And Robbie Feinberg, you might recognize his name from NPR. He was on there for a long time, but now he's Maine School Management's PR communication person and doing a great job for them. So.
You recognize the name? All right, what else we got? Yeah. Is that it?
Yeah, that's it.
Okay. Financial report, Deb.
Well, he's very enthusiastic. So he's more exciting than this stuff, right? So tonight we're looking at December for our financial report. We spent just a little over $19 million, which is 43%. It's in line with what we spent last year. We had spent 47% at the end of December. So Things are going well. We're spending basically as we normally do. And everything is, once again, we always keep our eyes on tuition and any additional staff that we may need that wasn't budgeted for, but overall, things are going well. All the budgets have been submitted by the administrators in the schools, so now it's my turn to get to work and pull it all together to start that budget process. As far as revenue, we will be down a little bit on tuition because of the number of students. We're down 12 students from what we had budgeted, but hopefully the additional revenue comes in other areas to close that gap. We did receive notification that we're receiving $30,520 in a state subsidy adjustment for MLL learning, so that's a good thing. And as far as grants, people are spending, and we're working our way through those for the year. So that's it. Any
Great.
questions?
Questions for Deb? And the numbers, go ahead, Jennifer.
I'm embarrassed to say, is MLL ESL?
Yes.
Okay.
Multilingual language learners, or yeah.
And so that's $30,000, and we did hire more staff for that, right?
There has been one additional ed tech and one teacher position has been advertised, so.
Okay.
So
That
yeah,
won't certainly pay for both of those positions, but it'll help somewhat.
No, but it will help somewhat.
Yeah.
It's
Thank
an
you.
adjustment that they've been doing. They started last year, and they're doing it, every year. Once the subsidy comes out, they adjust it, so.
Great, well, certainly helps, thank you.
Great. Any other questions for Deb? Thank you, Deb. Appreciate it. It's great. Okay, and then the fundraising requests.
Yeah, fundraising, we just do twice a
FYI.
year, and we put it in your backup. I don't know if anybody has any questions. It's more of an FYI to make sure that we're not asking too much from our community.
Yeah, that's a good list. Go ahead, Jennifer.
I would just like to say thank you to all the effort that goes into that, for the communities for supporting all of those additional efforts. And it's so nice to see that this is still part of like what we want to do and how do we contribute to it. So thank you for all those people who are involved in it.
Yeah, thank you for that, Jennifer. Anybody else? Any comments, questions? All right. Going on to old business. So we've got, what is it, 6 of them? Yeah, from 13.1 to 13.6. These are all, we had this last time back in November. Been stewing for a couple months. Right? Am I saying that right? Yeah, the 6. And so we can take them all at once, I guess, unless people have questions on any individual ones. I just had a question on 13 point, was it 4 or 5? 13.5, just a grammatical thing, which Patrick will look at and can take care of. But otherwise, yeah, go ahead, John.
Kim does such an amazing job with these, but I can't remember where I saw it, but I saw the word of a parent reference. And is there any way, because I think usually when we use the term parent, we do mean guardian now and parent. So I don't know, just in general, if we can, I think we've done really great with pronouns and with other things like that, but I think that might be just one place just to tighten them up a little bit. And I wish I could tell you where I saw it, but it's annual notice of student educational records and information rights. It's right there at the top. Yeah, affords parents. So just till we can tighten that up a little bit. Thank you.
Great. Any other comments, questions? Yeah.
I was just wondering the truancy one, the student attendance. Did we not have one before?
13 point, which one?
Yeah, JE.
JE.
Yeah, 13.4. Just because it's the main school management draft.
I can't remember
So
if we
is that
combined.
like brand new?
Yeah, we combined a couple policies together.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Because it didn't have, yeah, I was reading it too, going, there's no red. Nothing's been changed. What is this? So it's combined some things. Okay. Any concerns, questions on the content? All right. So if I can have a motion, we can do these all together.
Yes. I move that we consider all of the policies under one vote,
Okay.
and I move their approval.
Great. And you second. Any further discussion? Okay, all in favor? Okay, it's unanimous. That is good to go. Thank you. Let's see. So 14.0, we already had the update by Mary. Katie unfortunately is ill, so she's not here today. So was there anything you needed to tell us from that? No? Okay. And then we have 14.3, which you've explained in some emails, but if you just want to publicly tell us what we're doing.
Yeah, hard to believe it's been 10 years since the West Bath withdrawal agreement, if you remember that. And so it expires this year. And obviously we don't need everything that is in that current contract, but we do need to consider the tuition part of that contract. And so in order to authorize the board to negotiate a tuition contract with West Bath like we have now, we have to go through a two-step process. And so the first part is tonight is having you guys hopefully approve the warrants and sign the warrants for the meeting that would be at our next board meeting. And we would hold it at 5:30, and it would be a public meeting, and we would have a moderator here. And it's really just to, again, just to give the board the authority to negotiate that tuition contract. And then typically Emily and I would draft something and then she would bring it to her board. I would bring it to you for conversation, for any edits before something is approved. So it's because it's a tuition contract. I mean, obviously, we accept tuition students from other towns sometimes, but we don't, this is a contract that we have. And so we have talked with our attorneys about this, and this is the recommended action steps that we take. So I don't know if you have questions on that.
Yeah, Jennifer.
With this contract, I believe when we first started this, there was a grandfathering where we would allow families, siblings to kind of go along how things were before we consolidated. Like if you went to West Bath before, you didn't want to split siblings up. We should be relatively clear of that requirement now, right?
Pretty much all the language that you're talking about that's expired. And so all we're focusing on is probably going to bring you a 2-page document that's around just the tuition piece.
Any other questions? Jamie?
I move that the vote entitled "Vote to Call and Approve the Warrants for an RSU1 Wide Meeting" be approved in form presented to this meeting, and that a copy of the said vote be included with the minutes of this meeting.
Great. Second. Do we have a second? Okay. Any other discussion? All in favor? Okay. So we're.
Yeah. So thank you, and we'll just have you sign one piece of paper before you leave tonight.
Okay. Thank you. All right. So then we have 14.4, first reading of board policies. This is no action tonight, but you have it in your packet. So unless you have questions on the IJOA field trips and other student travel, the EBBB accident reports, ECA energy conservation management in the schools, ECB pest management in school facilities and on school grounds. If you have any questions on those, otherwise we'll be voting on those next time. Okay. Moving on, 14.5, overnight field trip requests is our action items. We've got 2 of them. First one is for Bath Tech to Skills USA competition, Bangor, Maine. And the second one is Morse to MPA regional cheer competition, Bangor, Maine. Are there any questions? Yeah, go ahead, Jennifer.
Is there any way to take these field trip forms and tie in some kind of learning result to them? And then not everyone has to have a learning result. but they have something called goals and objectives on them, and these are kind of funny ones I get. But I mean, I was just kind of tying that back into, here's what we're doing, here's the time we're taking, here's the costs we're incurring, and this kind of meets our objective of blank, either a learning result or, I don't know, just something so we could kind of go back to that and say, this is this is what we're able to accomplish through these efforts. Any thoughts on that?
I mean, it's there. I mean, again, the athletic piece would not be as, I mean, I'm not sure that, I mean, I can make the argument it's going to be one of the, I'm losing my train of thought here, but in the learning results, the overarching standards. But I mean, for Bath Tech, it's students that are excelling in their industry standards. So like one student's going for cabinet making, one is going to a cake baking competition. So again, we're trying to be, I guess, if it's a whole class field trip, I think it's more applicable. But when these two are a little bit unique, and to have a teacher like the skills would take quite a while to take the 20 kids that we have going and try to go back and look at the standard that they're going for each one of these and try to fit it into this form. So I think we can do a better job when it comes to overall classroom going or a wing going, but athletics is a little different too. So
right, and that tech, I mean, I'm sure that the students are going to be putting their specific goals. I don't know, I was reading, how does this have a straight face test? How are we spending time and energy? Yeah,
Okay, where are we at? So we just need a motion for this so we can,
I move to approve the field trip requests.
okay, can I have a second?
Second.
Second by Jamie. Any other questions? No? Okay, all in favor? All right, all that's approved. Thank you. And 15.0 is review board committee assignments.
Yeah, I left a hard copy for you this
Yep.
evening, and I tried to update it based on this year because we do have a couple ad hoc committee people, and but we don't need answers tonight, but just I think it's accurate, and if you want to join a different one, you want to join a new one, just shoot me an email and let me know. I mean, right now we're pretty well covered, but if there's some change you want to make, just let me know. Yeah. It had a little different purpose before that. Yeah, I can check on that. Yes, there is. Yeah, and it's turned more into education, but it doesn't mean that you couldn't still be involved in that. Yeah, let me check with Katie on that.
I'm not volunteering.
I know. I hear you.
Stop going.
Yeah. Yeah, let me see what the overlap is.
All right. Any questions on that before we move on? Okay. Personnel items. Just want to go over where we're at.
So we held these retirements just because we thought it would be nice to bring them as a group. It does not mean that we won't have more retirements, but we do try to encourage people to let us know by the beginning of the budget process if they can. But we understand that sometimes there'll be other circumstances that won't allow for that. So just want to go down through these and thank people for their years of service to the district. First is Kathy Henriksen, grade 2 teacher at Dyke Newell. I'd like to thank her for 25 years of service in the district. Kathy Brown, also a grade 2 teacher at Dyke Newell, 10 years of service. Eileen Wiltuck Watson, speech and language at Dyke Newell, 36 years of service. Leanne Fisher, grade 7 and 8, writing and social studies at Woolwich, 22 years. Terry Soul, who is an academic interventionist at Fisher Mitchell, 30 years. And Anna Varian, head cook at Phippsburg with 10 years. Wow. So those are retirements. And then resignations, these are all, with the exception of one, these are all happening at the end of the year. Donna Tardif, kindergarten teacher at Phippsburg Elementary School, thank her for 6 years of service. Faye Larrabee, food service assistant at Phippsburg, 6 years. Nicole Estes, food service assistant, Phippsburg, 4 years. And then Josie Edridge, EdTech 2, Woolwich Central School for 2 years of service. And then the last one is, I put it as an action item, but it's really an FYI for you. And I tried to explain that to you is because we didn't meet in December and we needed to hire a foreign language teacher here at the high school because of resignation. And so Daniel Jackson, we're very pleased. Today was his first official day, but we had to offer him a contract in order to get him here. And we're excited to have him, but you have that in your backup. So thank you.
Great. And we're down to, if there's any board goals. Jennifer, do you want to address
Sure.
where we are?
Our board goal of communication, I think that we heard tonight that the website is really helping with having an information access for people. So I think that's an important process that we continue to try to help getting the communication out to the community and also hearing the communication back from them. Safe and supportive schools, I think that we can look at some of the report that we heard tonight, that we have been able to implement ALICE training and the bus right access and ACEs, and we're also looking at policies, around health and safety. Pre-K programming, again today, I think we're really looking at our steps towards our education plan update at all levels, not just beyond pre-K and the fifth. And then facilities, we didn't get a specific update to that, but I know that's ongoing work. So I think we're doing a good job at hitting our goals this year.
Great, thank you. Any questions? Okay, next meeting date is Monday, February 24th. And if there's nothing else. Oh, yeah.
We'll make sure we get that out to you, but we'll do 5. It'll be 2 separate
5:30.
agendas. Probably 5:30 will be the public meeting for the West Bath tuition contract authorization. And then 6 o'clock will probably be our regular time for board meeting.
And then is it next week at Bath Middle?
Yeah, actually, I forgot to mention 2 things. Any board members, I sent this out in an email, but February 5th, and I know it's hard because it's at 10 a.m., but there is a celebration that's happening with the Department of Education coming down to Bath Middle School. So if any of you that can make it, would you just shoot me an email so I can let you know if I'll know that you're there in the gym that day. And then February 12th is a Wednesday, the following Wednesday, and there'll be a couple of us that will be eating lunch here in the Culinary Cafe and having the students. And if you'd like to join us, a couple of us that are there, lunch is on me if you want to come.
Okay.
So I know it's tough. It's in the middle of the day, but
thank you. I'm going to try to come to both, actually. I got to work some things out. All right. Can I have a motion to adjourn then, unless there's anything else?
So moved.
Yep. Second. All right. All in favor? All right. Thanks for coming and don't leave yet. I think we all have to sign this, right? Okay.